Hello class, my name is Wanda and this is my presentation on strength-based career counseling. Again, sorry for any interruptions, I'm not in my normal recording environment. So one thing I've learned in life is the importance of frame of reference or point of view. The angle that you view a situation impacts the solutions you envision and the outcomes you will reach. During this process of completing this assignment and reading the literature assigned, my understanding of reaching one's life calling has changed. Part of realizing your life calling involves knowing yourself, your strengths, and your weaknesses. However, we have a choice of focusing on our strengths or on our weaknesses when trying to achieve success. In this presentation, I will be reviewing the importance of focusing on a client's strengths in the career counseling process. Focusing on strength can better help clients achieve success than focusing on weaknesses. Also in this presentation, I will be breaking down society's outlook on this topic and how it applies to discovering life calling. So my thoughts. I will have to be honest, the readings for this workshop has been mentally challenging. I believe that the main reason has to do with the fact that I have never placed much thought into the process of discovering one's life calling. The depth of thought into this topic was clear from both of the authors. Dr. Millard's explanation of discovering and carrying out one's life calling does make sense, and I agree with it overall. He laid out the foundation necessary and the path in a manner that can be applied to our lives easily. I believe that this presentation is an extension of Dr. Millard's article and his concept of unique design, which was one of the three components necessary to achieve life calling. The primary focus of this presentation is on strengths and the role it plays in our ability to achieve success. I agree with the points made in society's view of strength, of society's view and value of strength. In this presentation, I wish this presentation included audio. I feel that this would have helped me better understand the information on the screen. While reading the slides, there were multiple times that I was left wondering if I understood the thought the creator was trying to convey. So that would be my one thing that I kind of wish there was a little bit of extra explanation added into this presentation that we had to base our assignment on. So society's focus on weakness. Each person on the face of this earth is unique and beautiful in their own way. This uniqueness means that we each have strengths and weaknesses combined and blended together to create who we are. For decades in society, pressure has led us to think that the way to success was by perfection. In the race to become the best person we can be, society has led us to believe that we have to eliminate our weaknesses. The focus has been on decreasing the negative instead of increasing the positive. Again, the focus has been on decreasing the negative instead of increasing the positive. The flaw in this approach is that we can never be 100% free of weaknesses, and little attention is given to increasing strengths. Strengths can increase, and over time, we will learn how to manage our weaknesses. Another downfall of focusing on weaknesses is that it can become discouraging over time. And they will never be completely free, and that the person will never be completely free of them. So the value of focusing on strength. When we grow and increase our abilities in positive ways, it can be uplifting to our spirit. This can motivate a person to pursue goals and to continue to reach for higher achievements. Our strengths are gifts from God, and these gifts help us to better understand His purpose for our lives because it is those gifts that we will be using to complete our calling. They are the tools that we will draw from in our work. Our strengths will always need tending to in order for us to be able to continue to do the work of our life calling. So The next 5 slides are me going into the 5 strength domains that were presented in the presentation and looking at the 4 different dimensions of each of those domains. So the first domain is strength as physical. So in each of these in the presentation, and never really gave an explanation of each of the domains um, by dimension. So that was left for the viewer to kind of interpret and to kind of feed into and draw their own conclusions on. So these are again not concrete facts, or maybe not even the angle in which the author saw these dimensions, but this is just kind of how I view or see each of these dimensions um, and my reflections based off of the 5 domains that were listed. The first domain, is physical, and the 4 dimensions. Dimension 1 is gifts. These are the abilities like running fast, long distance, lifting weight, coordination, etc. New physical gifts can be discovered throughout a person's lifetime. So these are the physical things that you are able to accomplish with your body. Knowledge. A person's understanding of their gifts and the limits of their abilities, along with the memory of everything that they have been able to do with those gifts. The skill in this case is what we can do with our gifts. A gift skill can be improved by exercise or training. So the skill is the fine tunement of the gift itself, like the ability to run fast. Your skill increases in that gift the more that you exercise it. Your attitude, the way that a person feels about their physical gifts, and the effect that this physical gift has on their attitude and demeanor. So I kind of see this as, one, how does it make you feel that you have this gift? And also, how does it impact the way that you see or treat others because of the gift in which you have? The second domain is emotional. Again, the same 4 domains are going to be used for all of these. The same 4 dimensions are going to be used in all of these. Gifts, our range of emotion and ability to emotionally connect with the world around us. That is the gift in this situation. Knowledge, our understanding of our emotions and their limits, and the ability to do the same with the emotions of others. Skill, our ability to work through our emotions and the range of our emotions we have developed. In this case, emotional intelligence came to mind, just our ability to emotionally identify what we're going through, and also to have that awareness of the emotional environment around us, of others. Attitude, in this case, the emotional temperature of our demeanor, that we understand, and how we understand the world around us, and the emotions that we experience from others and through our lives, is our attitude that we carry. The third domain is intellectual. Gifts, a person's ability to problem solve, reason, or have complex or abstract thoughts. Knowledge, the information that we have learned over our lifetime, along with the ability to make use of that information to carry out different duties and tasks. Skills, this can be seen in mathematical, oral, written, or artistic abilities. In this case, I view the skills as, again, the fine tuning of the gift, such as a child might just show a stronger aptitude for numbers at an early age, and throughout their lifetime, they study mathematics at a more complex rate, or a more complex level, as they continue through education. So, in that case, they are building their skill in the gift of problem solving or in mathematics. Attitude, our understanding and reaction to the complex world around us. Intellectually, we do have to interact with our world in a very intellectual way. So this can shape how you see the world and how you respond to it. Excuse me. But it can also change how the world responds to you intellectually as well, in the environments in which you find yourself in as well intellectually. The fourth domain is psychological. I had a hard time pulling psychological away from emotional in this presentation. So this is kind of the four dimensions I was able to draw up in this case. This can include our behaviors, thought patterns, emotional regulation, and a positive and the way that they have a positive impact on our well-being. And the reason why I focus on positive impact on well-being is because they are gifts. Gifts should be positive and not negative. Knowledge. Our understanding of our behaviors, thought patterns, and emotions, along with understanding and appreciating how these systems come together in our interactions. Basically, knowing ourselves and how we respond to different situations and stimuli. Skills. Our ability to put our behaviors, thought patterns, and emotional regulations in use in a manner that is beneficial to the beneficial to the individual throughout their life. So in this case, I'm looking at just kind of like how our behaviors develop and become more fine-tuned as we grow up. As a child, we might cry for what we want, but as we build our skill at coping with difficult emotions, we get to a point where we're not crying for whenever we want something. Instead, we're expressing ourselves through healthier, different means of behavior, such as communicating things of that nature. So we are able to able to develop our gifts, which is showing our skill at being able to utilize those gifts. Attitude. The overall temperature of our psychological state that is visible to others in our interactions. Our attitude also colors the way that we see and interact with the world around us. Again, most of the time, in my opinion, attitude is twofold. It is the way that the individual, in this case psychologically, views the world around them and the way they interact with it, and the way that the world sees them and is able to interact with them based off of what the world receives from them. The last domain is spiritual. And what I kind of rested on with this one is that we are going to have different reference points with different clients. I am a Christian, and a lot of this that I'm about to explain is from that Christian perspective. But I have to also be aware ethically that I'm not always going to have Christian clients. So I have to address the spiritual in a way that is neutral enough to where it can pertain to any client. And so, in the gifts in this case, is a connection to a higher power and those around us. Connection seems to be one of the main things that ties Dr. Millard's idea together, because without connection, you aren't driven to have service to others, which means that you're not driven to carry out a life calling, because it's partially that connection you have with the world around you that drives you to pursue that life calling. Knowledge. Our knowledge of God and Christianity, or in this case, a higher power in whatever various religion in which the client believes in, along with an understanding of how that relates to their world. That is where the knowledge factor comes in at. The skill is the outward display in our service to others, which that's a piece that can be seen outwardly, along with inwardly our connection that we feel to God or a higher power. Those are things that will grow over time. When we're young, we are, just starting out in life, we have less of ability to serve others. Excuse me. So that does improve over time as we grow and develop and mature. And the same is with our connection to a higher power. When we first start learning how to pray and to worship, it seems awkward at first as we're new in our faith. But as time goes on, those become natural elements, and you feel like you have a deeper connection with God or a higher power. Attitude in this case is our demeanor towards religion and the posture towards our relationship with all things related. That is what I see that attitude being in this case. So society tends to focus on two of the domains, which are physical and intellectual. Our society and culture focuses heavily on physical and intellectual in so many ways. One example is in sports. Sports play a major role in our society throughout our whole lifetimes. Children are often introduced to sports before they even start school. Many individuals face pressure to be great athletes and feel that the only way they can achieve and feel like that's the only way that they can achieve success. Part of these beliefs stem from professional athletes being paid fortunes for their physical abilities. Athletes are also highly celebrated in our culture. Also, we go through great lengths to measure intellect. In many cases, this can begin very it can begin even before formal school starts. Parents may brag and compare their child's ability academically to those of their peers. Throughout school, peers are ranked and compared. Intellectually, individuals have to compete for placement in higher education, and those who are intellectually gifted can find themselves in careers that lead to them also gaining great wealth. Um, so those are the two domains out of the five that really drive the society's view or mainstream or the circular view of what is success and what you have to focus on building in order to show strength. Discovering my strengths. I'm still in the process of discovering my strengths. Like many, most of my life was spent focusing on my weaknesses and shortcomings. It has only been recently that I started noticing my strengths. God led me to a place where I was surrounded by people that were able to see see the strengths in me, and I was not able to see. I trusted them and from there started paying more attention to my strengths. Over time, I gradually shifted my focus from my weakness and started paying more attention to my strengths. I am still aware of my weaknesses, but they are not my primary focus. Instead, I describe myself first by using my strengths, not my weaknesses. Discovering my strengths has also impacted the way that I love myself and celebrate who I am as a person. I feel that the process of discovering my strengths will be continued throughout my life because I will always be faced with new challenges by over new challenges to overcome the meaning and new strengths may be discovered. So, identifying strengths in my clients. Um, I can identify strengths in my clients by first listening to what they have been through and by getting to know who they are. If my client is in a crisis, it will be harder for them to identify their strengths. But I can prove to them via what they have been through the different strengths that they have exhibited in the past by telling them what I see in their life stories, by showing them how their ability to survive and the way they did so is proof of their strengths. I I will have to gain their trust, of course, so that way they will believe on my perception of who they are and of those strengths. I will have to coach the client to help them to shift their focus away from their weaknesses towards their strengths. Throughout the therapeutic process, I can see myself pointing out to them their new strengths as they emerge, and I will also take the time to recap and provide my client with a summary of their strengths that I have noticed over the course of our therapeutic relationship. So in this presentation, it gave me an opportunity to explore strengths in a deeper manner. I reviewed the 5 domains of strengths along with all 4 dimensions of each of the domains. Until this assignment, I was not aware of the complexity of strength, In our daily lives, there is no need to think so deeply on this topic. However, in counseling, it is highly important. We have to be able to break down the concept of strength for our clients in order to help them better understand themselves. I have a deep appreciation for the concept of strength and the meaning it has in our lives. Also, I have learned more about my own feelings and beliefs on each of these domains and dimensions presented. I am sure it will have a lasting impact on me moving forward. I will now try to challenge myself to grow in each of these domains personally, along with learning more about the various dimensions of each domain. Again, thank you for tolerating any of the random background noise that you heard during this presentation, and have a very blessed day.